there, Khenrab, can you introduce yourself?
Of course, my name is Khenrab Palden. I was born in India, raised there, came to the US about 5 years ago.
Alright, so which college did you go to?
Well, in India, I went to Varanasi. I studied there for 4 years. I studied Tibetan Buddhism, literature, history, some Hindi, and some Sanskrit while I was there in Varanasi. And then, from there, in 2004, I got the scholarship to go to Hampshire. So in 2005, I went to Hampshire and graduated in '09.
I see. So how did you get the scholarship to attend the Hampshire College?
There's this program called Student Exchange Program between the five colleges, which I'm sure you're aware of, and the Tibetan University in Varanasi. Every year, about 40 students from the five colleges go to Varanasi for a month. There, they study Tibetan Buddhism actually, and in exchange, every 2 years they give scholarship to a Tibetan student from either Varanasi or from Sarah College in Dar es Salaam.
Alright, so at Hampshire, what did you major in?
Well, we actually at Hampshire we don't really have anything like a major per se. It's a very liberal arts college. All the fields are open for you. You don't get a degree in a specific field when you graduate. But I studied film. That's where I spent most of my time. But I also studied anthropology, especially in the field of violence and some religion when I was there at Hampshire.
Alright, you said that you studied film, and why did you choose that field?
Uh, Film. This has been a very personal, belief of mine for a very long time. I've always believed that film has this this unique. How can I say this? Unique, perspective of looking at the world. For example, like I tell you a story. I show you. I tell you a story verbally, and I show you a movie, right? Which one would you think you would understand better? The same story. Like one, I tell you, the another one I show you, right? I personally, I think like when you see something visually, like this thing that you see has more impact on you than rather than being told to you about that. And we have so many stories that still need to be told to people of the world, right? Or to ourselves, really. Like the stories about our parents, how they endured all the sufferings and troubles during the invasion and afterwards in exile. And I believe that film you know can be a very strong medium to bringing in the Tibetan issue on an international platform. That's what I
Right,
believe.
and what are the courses that you have to take for film? What are the common courses?
Of course, I took a bunch of screenwriting classes. That's one of the most important thing. When you're a film student, because if you don't know how to write a script and if you don't know how to write a screenplay. When I say screenplay, I mean like writing in detail every single frame and every single movement of the characters in that frame, right? So taking screenwriting classes are the most important aspect of film studies, and then you also take a bunch of production classes, right? And in production classes, you learn camera manuals, you learn some editing, you go out, like make a short film, you work with somebody else, these sort of things. That's number two. And then you also take photography because, in photography actually helps a lot when you're studying film because in photography it's one frame and you can concentrate on that one frame, right? Whereas in film, this similar, it's the same frame, right? But in film, it's constantly moving, right? So you don't have that time that you have when you're studying a photography. So when you study photography, you learn the techniques of how you study a photograph, right? And then when you're watching a movie, like because you're trained in studying, that technique, you can easily move on and at the same time understand, every single frame.
Okay, so my last question is, what message do you have for Tibetan students who are interested in pursuing film?
Oh, pursuing film. Do I would say actually, if you're studying film, it's. I think the most important thing is to go out, make friends. That's the first thing, right? Because film is never a one man job. Like writing, you can do writing on your own. You take photography, you can go around click photographs of stuff, but filmmaking you cannot do it on your own, right? So the first thing is to make friends in the people who have similar interests, right? And then work with them. Don't worry about what kind of a movie you're making, how long, how good, whatever. You shouldn't worry about that. What you should worry about is, you know, how, whenever you are in the field, you have your camera set, you're working on something, you have to understand, or you have to, tell yourself, okay, this when I do this, this is what I learn. This is when I do that, this is, that is what I learned. Meaning like you have to be aware of the things that you gain and the things that that are not good when you're making your film, right?
My question, yeah, another question following that is, so for Tibetan high school students who have no background in film at all, can they do anything in their high school? Can they take a certain subject that'll help them when they major in film studies?
Of course. Any sort of language class will, like highly filmmaking, filmmaking in a technical sense. So filmmaking, I think, could be divided into categorized into two, you know, um, aspects, right? Filmmaking in a technical sense, filmmaking in an artistic sense, right? So in the technical sense is very very easy. What you need is a tripod and a camera. That's it. That's all you need to be a filmmaker, really. But to be an artistic filmmaker, you need the information, you need the infrastructure, whatever you are doing. So you cannot, like for example, you can make a movie like easily, but you cannot make a sensible and good movie, right? Unless you have background about whatever you are making the film about, right? So language classes, for example, your English class, right? In your English class, you read stories, right? So you read one story, you study that story, go out make a movie about that story, right? It's so easy like that. That's why like I wouldn't say I don't think I can say like, oh, you should take this sort of classes, you should avoid that sort of classes. You should take any sort of class that comes your way. but then at the same time, like from these, from whatever you're studying, try to make up stories, and you can get stories from whatever class you're taking.
Alright, thank you so much, Khenrab.